Our boy materializes in a strange, lantern-lit alley. A woman's voice calls out, beckoning him closer. He sees women trapped behind a wooden grate. Uninterested, he turns his back on their invitation. But a sharp-nailed hand forces him to stop. He responds by erupting in a torrent of fire. He smirks, asking if this is Ayasaki's best. But his opponent is just getting started. A storm of cursed talismans swirls around him. This is exactly the fight our boy was hoping for. The talismans unleash a horde of demonic entities. But the scene cuts to a trashed classroom. The cause, a chaotic clash between the students. A white-haired student points out the troublemaker. Their new teacher watches the bickering, amused. He takes charge, ready to start the class. He introduces himself as the instructor, Minato Izuyoi. Minato calls for student introductions to begin. First is Rin Shishik, a rank D hunter with Beowulf. Next is Fugo Mizukiri, whose partner is Minerva. A blue-haired girl leaps forward for her introduction. She is Masamune Ibu, a rank C hunter. Her contractor is her idol, the legendary Akita Saoji. Rin immediately questions her strange choice of outfit. Masamune is thrilled to explain her Shinsengumi obsession. She idolizes the peerless swordsman, Akita Saoji himself. Her entire appearance is a passionate homage to him. But in the back, a student hides inside a locker. He trembles, terrified of this girl's contractor. Minato finally cuts in, trying to move the class along. A nervous boy introduces himself as Hinata Cameo, an F-rank support. He admits he doesn't know his contractor's identity. Minato explains Hinata just made his contract yesterday. Fugo scoffs at the news. The war started 10 years ago. Minato poses a pop quiz to the class. What do they all have in common with an F-rank beginner? Minato confirms their age but rejects the answer. Their first shared weakness, unstable abilities. Second, they can't communicate with their contractors. And finally, they all lose control easily. In short, their lack of control is holding them back. Now he'll explain why he gathered these 4 students. He pulls out a cigarette, asking about the war's goal. He puts Fugo on the spot for the answer. Fugo answers, a God King candidate must resolve Ragnarok. But the method to stop Ragnarok is still a mystery. They know the goal but not how to achieve it. Rin eagerly explains the prize, one wish, anything they want. This isn't about saving the world, it's about selfish desire. The Academy's policy, contain the threat, find a solution. Minato warns of selectees who only want to kill. He names the ruthless faction, the God Slayers. 2 main factions are fighting to stop Ragnarok. But in the end, only one can win the war. Their strategy is to eliminate all competition. And right now, the Academy is losing badly. Even S-rank hunters have been seriously injured. The news sends a shockwave through the classroom. He claims to be stronger than all S-ranks combined. His bold claim leaves the students completely stunned. He's gathered these students for his own special curriculum. His students react with a mix of excitement and dread. Hinata sees this as his chance to finally catch up to Yuzuki. But first, they must learn to sync their uncontrolled powers. He attacks Hinata with a casual warning, try not to die. A blast of energy engulfs the terrified student. Suddenly, Hinata is transported to a strange battlefield. He stands alone in a graveyard of abandoned swords. He desperately calls out for his teacher and classmates. But in this strange world, he is completely alone. A shadow looms over Hinata from a high cliff. A voice greets him from the sunset-backed peak. Hinata recognizes the voice of his mysterious contractor. The samurai decides to overlook his rudeness today. He introduces himself as the swordsman Kurayasha. Hinata demands to know why he went silent. Kurayasha was moved by his resolve but not his skill. He declares Hinata unworthy of his power. Hinata asks if he's not fighting for the throne. Kurayasha plans to just sightsee until the war ends. Hinata vows to finally catch up to Yuzuki. He begs his contractor for a chance. The stoic swordsman considers the boy's plea. He plants a blade in the earth, offering a test. The terms are set: land just 1 strike. Succeed and he will prove his worthiness. An immense, crushing pressure bears down on Hinata. Despite the fear, he reaches for the blade. He grips the hilt, his resolve hardening. With a desperate cry, he charges his contractor. But Kurayasha sidesteps the clumsy attack effortlessly. The swordsman scoffs, his blade can't even reach him. He asks if Hinata is afraid to truly cut someone down. Without the resolve to kill, he will be the one killed. A blinding flash of steel descends on the boy. His world turns upside down in a spray of red. Kurayasha holds his contractor's lifeless body. Hinata's severed head tumbles across the dusty ground. The samurai holds up the head, asking how it feels. But Hinata is still conscious, utterly confused. His consciousness fades, feeling strangely sleepy. But he jolts back to life with a terrified scream. He clutches his throat, gasping for air. The phantom pain of death still haunts him. His body reacts violently to the horrific memory. He struggles to understand he was just killed. Kurayasha looks down on his pathetic state. He explains that heroes create their own worlds. With a snap, he summons a vision of war. Here, Hinata's life and death are his to command. Hinata realizes this world isn't real. Kurayasha tells him to leave, his patience wearing thin. He opens a dark portal back to the mortal world. The swordsman dismisses him, saying they'll never meet again. But Hinata clenches his fist, his resolve hardening. He walks towards the exit, seemingly defeated. Kurayasha waits for the boy to finally disappear. Suddenly, a flash of movement breaks the silence. Hinata lunges, bringing his blade down on his contractor. But Kurayasha catches the sword with his bare hand. Kurayasha effortlessly slams him into the dirt. He demands to know the meaning of this attack. Hinata admits he lacks the resolve to kill. The swordsman listens to his pathetic confession. But he needs the strength to protect his family. His plea seems to reach the stoic contractor. Kurayasha finally acknowledges the boy's resolve. Then he immediately runs Hinata through with his blade. The swordsman warns him not to misunderstand. His resolve is real, but the test remains the same. To protect his family, he must become stronger. The new rule is simple: die until he succeeds. He must face death hundreds, even thousands of times. Hinata resurrects again, energy surging through him. With a desperate cry, he charges forward once more. Kurayasha seems pleased with his renewed spirit. But the result is always the same. As he is cut down again and again, he's impaled in countless brutal ways. The endless cycle of death and rebirth begins. Hinata gasps for air, exhausted but unbroken. He pushes himself up, refusing to surrender. Kurayasha notes his 372nd predictable charge. Their blades meet in another furious clash. But this time, something catches him off guard. A crazed, desperate grin spreads across Hinata's face. With a triumphant cry, he unleashes his attack. But the blow misses by a hair's breadth. Kurayasha realizes the repetitive attacks were a setup. He admits even a novice learns after hundreds of deaths. Kurayasha decides to change his tactics. His blade morphs into a deadly spear. Hinata stares, shocked by the sudden change. The swordsman reveals his mastery of all arms. In his era, swordsmanship alone meant death. He proves his point by impaling Hinata again. The boy feels the familiar agony of death. An arrow suddenly pierces through his skull. Kurayasha now wields a deadly bow. Hinata scrambles to create some distance. A dark spear of energy impales him again. Through the gaping wound, he sees his contractor. Kurayasha explains ranged weapons are a different game. Hinata collapses, choking on his own blood. The swordsman moves in to end his misery. But Hinata strikes from behind with a hidden blade. Kurayasha smirks, impressed by the desperate move, calling the single strike truly impressive. His hand rests on the hilt of his katana. A hit is a hit, a samurai keeps his word. Kurayasha offers his blade, swearing his loyalty. Hinata takes the hilt, accepting his contractor's power. He grins, finally ready for the fight ahead. Kurayasha tells him it's time to return. A vision reveals Masamune is already in battle. The swirling vortex is his only way back. But Hinata hesitates, unnerved by the portal. Kurayasha kicks him straight into the vortex. The boy is pulled back to the real world. His contractor watches as the portal closes. Hinata plummets through a chaotic purple void. He jolts awake face down on his classroom desk. The room is trashed, but his classmates are gone. He's stunned to see only an hour has passed. Kuroyasha's spirit appears behind him. He explains that time flows differently in his world. Hinata's relieved grin confuses his stoic contractor. He's just glad the entire ordeal wasn't a dream. Minato suddenly appears, welcoming him back. The teacher smirks, seeing the training was a success. Minato asks if he survived the encounter. Hinata admits he died hundreds of times. The teacher is surprised by his mental fortitude. He's impressed by the kid's unexpected toughness. Hinata asks where his classmates have gone. Outside, the other students are completely wiped out. Hinata stares in horror at the brutal scene. Minato explains he gave them a little ability test. Now that he's seen what they can do, the next phase of training will be in pairs. Minato announces the first pair, Fugo and Rin. Fugo is disgusted by the idea of teaming up with her. The feeling is clearly mutual. Their first training exercise is a simple game of tag. Fugo's insult sends Rin into a fiery rage. Minato leads them off before they can start another brawl. Next, he pairs Hinata with the energetic Masamune. Their task is a serious fight to hone their sword skills. The two new partners walk down the school hall. Hinata nervously tries to start a conversation. Masamune tells him to drop the formal honorifics. He awkwardly agrees, but she keeps her own formal speech. She asks about his inability to speak with his contractor. She noticed his contractor was terrified of her earlier. She can't understand why her idol is so afraid. For 10 years, she's tried everything to reach him. Her entire room is a dedicated shrine to Akita. She's visited every historical site connected to him. She talks to him constantly, morning and night. Her intense devotion clearly makes Hinata uncomfortable. She screams, asking why her idol ignores her love. They arrive at the empty gym for their duel. Hinata calls on Kuroyasha, who reluctantly appears. He resonates, taking on his contractor's form. Masamune is impressed by his powerful transformation. He admits this is his first time resonating by choice. She eagerly demands they spar immediately. She explains resonance is impossible without communication. Her own contractor remains distant and silent. But she draws her blade, ready to fight regardless. Masamune opens with a blindingly fast attack. Kuroyasha watches the duel with a critical eye. She reveals she's an instructor at her family's dojo. Kuroyasha warns him this girl is the real deal. Hinata realizes she's strong even without resonating. Their blades meet in a shower of sparks. The two swords clash in a furious exchange. But Hinata is clearly on the defensive. Kuroyasha demands he force her to resonate. He whispers a simple way to provoke a samurai. Masamune lets out a furious battle cry. Hinata raises his blade to meet the attack. He easily parries her strike with dark energy. Her eyes widen, feeling the immense pressure. She's completely stunned by his sudden power. She realizes she can't dodge his counterattack. But a new blade suddenly intercepts the fatal blow. Masamune stares in disbelief at the intervention. A protective hand rests on her shoulder. Her idol, Akita Saoji, has finally answered her call. Her idol commands her to draw her sword. He offers his power to strike down their enemies. Kuroyasha smirks, his plan unfolding perfectly. Hinata reveals what Kuroyasha told him to do. A samurai's nature is to protect what's precious. He had asked his contractor for a plan. The answer was simple: kill the girl. He clarifies the order: only pretend to kill her. Pushing her to death's door would summon her idol. The legendary swordsman trembles, realizing the trap. Masamune is overcome with joy. Her idol does care. She cries with relief, admitting she thought he hated her. Akita looks away, uncomfortable with her intense devotion. He apologizes, assuring her he chose her for a reason. His words leave her blushing and completely smitten. She thanks Hinata for forcing the confrontation. As thanks, she offers to show her true power. She unleashes her legendary blade, Kikuikamanji. Hinata braces himself for her full power assault. She explodes forward with incredible speed and force. She unleashes her signature move, the triple thrust. Hinata panics, knowing he can't block the attack. A massive explosion tears through the entire gym. Later, the four students walk down the hallway together. Masamune is thrilled, but Hinata is completely worn out. They arrive at the next training facility. Hinata wonders if the other pair is still playing tag. Minato is waiting for them, asking how it went. He sees Masamune and her idol are finally in sync. Minato knew a serious fight would forge their bond. Hinata asks about the other pair's training. Minato describes a scene of pure, unrestrained fury. Rin's contractor smashes the ground with raw power. Fugo's partner is sent flying from the blast. Minato explains the rule, only it can attack. But their contractors were far too chaotic to control. Rin's contractor Beowulf goes on a feral rampage. Fugo begs his partner Minerva to stop the fight. But a tiny owl suddenly tells him to be quiet. His contractor, the goddess of wisdom, is fast asleep. Fugo screams at his partner for sleeping mid-battle. Minato gathers the exhausted students for one final test. The final test, all four of them against him. He gives them 5 minutes, leaving them utterly speechless. Hinata warns that charging in blindly is a death sentence. Rin mocks his fear, but he insists on having a plan. Masamune doubts a quick plan will work against their teacher. Fugo suggests they at least decide on their roles. He defines their specialties. He's long range, Rin is close range. They'll take the front and back, leaving the middle to the swordsmen. Minato's voice cuts in, mocking their quick plan. The four students brace themselves for his assault. He flicks his cigarette, signaling the start of the test. A wave of pressure washes over the students. The cigarette falls and the battle begins. Fugo orders Rin to charge in first. She lunges forward with a furious, powerful strike. But Minato stops her punch with a single hand. Hinata signals Masamune to begin their attack. The two swordsmen leap in to flank their teacher. Fugo celebrates, thinking their pincer attack landed. But Minato mocks their obvious telegraphed timing. Hinata realizes their plan has already failed. Minato points out he's only partially resonating. Hinata swings his blade in a desperate counter. Suddenly, vines erupt and trap Minato's legs. Fugo's contractor unleashes her binding magic. But Minato easily unleashes his own immense power. He declares they can't beat him in a power contest. The entire team is wiped out in just 20 seconds. Minato scoffs, he expected them to last 5 minutes. Hinata asks about his contractor, an S-rank secret. The students wonder why their identities are hidden. A new voice suddenly calls the situation boring. She questions Minato for training kids during a stalemate. Minato screams at her to get away from the students. His contractor is revealed, the God King Zeus. She asks why he's training his competition. Her eyes glow as she suggests killing them instead. She wants to eliminate them while they're still weak. In that moment, the students understand the truth. The current God King has no love for humanity. The next day, the school stands under a calm sky. But inside, the halls are a complete disaster. Rin and Fugo are completely drained from the training. Fugo complains about their brutal first day of class. The final reveal was the most terrifying part. Hinata wonders if they can even survive this. But Masamune slams her sword into a desk. She tells them to focus on today's problems. Rin agrees, worrying now is just a waste of time. But their teacher's voice stops them in the hall. He has one last place he wants to show them. The scene shifts to the city at sunset. The students beg their teacher for mercy. Fugo and Rin can barely stand as Minato leads them on. He promises they're going to love their destination. Hinata and Masamune look up, completely surprised. They've entered a stunning, luxurious lobby. This is a special dorm for high-rank hunters only. The dorm features an all-you-can-eat buffet. It also has a state-of-the-art training gym. And massive, luxurious baths open around the clock. Masamune worries about the cost of this luxury. Minato reveals the unbelievable price is absolutely free. This is funded by the Hunter Training Institution, or HTI. The agency manages and trains all hunters in Japan. Its budget dwarfs other organizations to protect citizens. Fugo calls it a hotel, but S-rank dorms are even better. Suddenly, an excited Rin calls them over. She's found a stunningly luxurious room. The others explore, amazed by the stylish decor. Minato confirms these are their private living quarters. Each student gets their own fully furnished room. He announces this will be their new home. For a moment, they're just happy kids. The reality of the situation hits Rin hard. Hinata worries if he's worthy of such a place. Minato assures him the staff were eager to help. But a flashback reveals he strong-armed the staff. Rin and Masamune celebrate their unbelievable new life. Masamune immediately plans a room-showing party. But Fugo is completely uninterested in their excitement. He casually ditches them, leaving the others to pack. The next day, the students prepare for the move. At her old dorm, Rin packs up her belongings. She waves a cheerful goodbye to the Aozora orphanage. Meanwhile, Masamune packs her most precious cargo. She looks forward to her new life with her idol. But Akita watches in terror as her shrine arrives. Fugo looks over a rooftop, a voice calling him Big Bro. A memory of a kind, white-haired man surfaces. The scene cuts to Hinata, recalling a comforting hand. He kneels in his room, praying before a family shrine. His eyes are closed in a moment of quiet reflection. He tells his parents' photos that he's become a selectee. He shares that he has a powerful teacher and new friends. But he admits he's still far weaker than Yuzuki. He clenches his fist, vowing to become strong enough to protect him. With burning resolve, he makes a solemn promise. A voice calls his name, interrupting his prayer. His grandmother apologizes for the intrusion. She's made breakfast and wants to eat together. Hinata tries to refuse, saying he's in a hurry. But her words stop him cold. This could be the last time. Her ominous tone leaves him completely stunned. She's prepared a massive feast of all his favorites. He sits down with his grandparents for a final meal. His grandfather recalls saying the same to Yuzuki. He tells Hinata to forge his own path, not follow another's. Hinata looks up, stunned by his grandfather's words. He admits he's still terrified of the path ahead. But his grandfather insists he has the strength to endure. They recall his childhood resilience, always getting back up. His grandmother says they've seen his tireless efforts. His grandfather adds that his parents would be proud. Their words of encouragement finally reach his heart. He promises to make them proud in his own way. He reaches for the future, his resolve renewed. A harsh road awaits, but his family's love fuels him. A few weeks later, their training has already begun. A red-haired announcer calls out the next event. Their goal: take down 10 robots each. A new team of hunters prepares for the challenge. They unleash a devastating, coordinated assault. The announcer times the next event, a mock battle. An orange-haired boy clashes with a feral-looking girl. He deflects her powerful strikes with his blade. She grins, telling him not to hold anything back. He returns the challenge, ready for more. Rin dodges a crushing overhead kick from Beowulf. Hinata leaps in, blocking the powerful blow. Their powers collide in a blinding explosion. The clock strikes noon, ending the session. Minato calls a wrap on the morning's training. Rin celebrates, finally in control of her power. Fugo scolds his contractor for sleeping on the job. Minato is impressed by their improved stamina. He sees they can all maintain resonance now. It's time to move on to the next stage. Minato smirks, announcing their very first mission. Elsewhere, another team of hunters looks up in shock. The mission takes them to a massive industrial factory. A new student arrives, greeted by a relieved worker. The worker begs for help, stressing the lone student. He asks to see the creature causing the trouble. The worker points to a flock of birds in the sky. But these are no ordinary birds, they're flaming monsters. The threat was deemed low risk and pushed aside. But these creatures attack workers without warning. The worker reveals 5 people are already in the hospital. Workers are quitting and the police won't take it seriously. He begs the young hunter to avenge his fallen coworkers. Hinata nervously agrees to take on the mission. He steals his resolve, vowing to eliminate every threat. But he immediately realizes he has no plan to fight them. Kurayasha scolds him for his reckless promise. His contractor asks if he'll just wait for them to attack. Hinata resonates, saying that will take far too long. He stomps the ground, unleashing a powerful shockwave. If the birds are flying too high to reach, he'll just bring the fight to them. He closes the distance in a single leap. His blade cuts clean through the monster, but his victory is cut short by a sudden realization. He completely forgot about gravity. Our boy forgot to plan his landing. He crashes straight through the roof of a truck. He groans, cushioned by a bed of sandbags. Kurayasha can't believe he's going back for more. He launches himself back into the sky for another attack. The flock of monsters circles the factory below. He cuts through them in a fiery midair assault. But their laser-like attacks overwhelm him. He's forced to retreat, landing on a nearby structure. Kurayasha points out the creature is just toying with him. With the sun setting, his time is running out. He struggles to find a way to bring them down. Then he remembers his contractor's weapon-changing trick. But Kurayasha says he's far too weak for that skill. But Kurayasha agrees to teach him the technique. He must first treat his shadow like soft metal. Then he must visualize a bow in perfect detail. But the raw power explodes out of his control. His resonance fails, he's never even held a bow. Kurayasha suddenly stops him, sensing a new threat. The sky is now filled with hundreds of monsters. Their eyes glow, preparing for a massive assault. The entire flock begins to merge into one being. He recalls the workers' warning about a nighttime ghost. Hinata finally understands the workers' warning. The flock has merged into a monstrous flaming beast. It unleashes a shockwave, shattering his perch. He shields his face from the falling debris. Kurayasha urges him to resonate before he's killed. Hinata channels his power, resonating with his contractor. He prepares to fight, his body surging with energy. But his transformation suddenly fails him. Kurayasha orders him to retreat and hide immediately. Hinata flees, confused by his sudden power loss. Hinata flees, screaming as his power fails him. He ducks behind a door, hiding from the beast. The flaming monster soars past his hiding spot. Kurayasha asks if he's recovered enough to try again. He struggles to channel his contractor's power. But the energy fizzles out, completely useless. Kurayasha explains his body has reached its limit. He tells Hinata to recall their teacher's lesson. A flashback takes him back to the classroom. Minato begins a lecture on the nature of resonance. Fugo complains they already know how to use resonance. Minato challenges him to explain what it really is. Fugo says it's just borrowing a contractor's power. But their teacher calls that answer far too vague. Resonance lets you wield a contractor's power as your own. But the power of gods is too much for a human body. Reckless use can make you lose control or your abilities. He explains each selectee has a vessel for that power. The more they resonate, the stronger that vessel becomes. All their training was meant to expand that very vessel. Minato snaps his fingers, summarizing the lesson. Their contractor's power is entirely in their hands. The lesson ends as Kurayasha asks if he understands. The long fight has completely drained his power. Kurayasha tells him to retreat and let someone else handle it. But Hinata's hesitation confuses his contractor. Suddenly, something sharp pierces the ground. A projectile slams down right in front of them. He stares in shock at the glowing feathers. The monster bird screeches from its perch above. The monster's wings flare with deadly energy. It unleashes a storm of razor-sharp feathers. Hinata is caught in the devastating barrage. Kurayasha orders him to run for a nearby building. But a flash of blue lightning blocks his path. He trips hard, crashing into the factory pipes. Kurayasha screams at him for stopping. The beast dives down for the final blow. Hinata collapses, completely out of strength. The monster lands, trapping him in the alley. Hinata gasps for breath, hiding behind the pipes. A razor-sharp feather has pierced through his leg. Kurayasha confirms he can't run any further. He urges him to call for backup while they're hidden. But he's stunned by Hinata's sudden defiance. The boy ignores him, trying to channel his power. He's attempting to form the bow once more. Kurayasha screams at him to stop wasting time. With no stamina left, the technique is impossible. But Hinata focuses, recalling the lesson on shadows. He focuses, trying to picture the bow's exact shape. He recalls every detail of Kurayasha's weapon. Kurayasha insists there's no shame in retreating now. But the monster smashes through their hiding spot. The contractor realizes they have been found. He screams for Hinata to run for his life. But Hinata has had enough of running away. He gathers the last remnants of his shadow energy. The beast roars, ready to unleash its final attack. And from the shadows, he forges a great bow. He screams, pouring his last ounce of strength into the shot. A single, massive arrow of dark energy is unleashed. The projectile tears straight through the flaming beast. The monster disintegrates into a shower of feathers. Hinata watches as his impossible shot finds its mark. He celebrates, overjoyed that he actually pulled it off. Kurayasha can only stare, completely dumbfounded. The kid made a bow from imagination alone. He wonders if it's raw talent or sheer willpower. This boy might one day surpass his own mastery. Hinata looks up, still reeling from the fight. A hand rests on his head in a rare moment of praise. His contractor calls the impossible shot splendid. Back in training, he focuses his shadow energy. He unleashes a wave of power, slicing through targets. His teacher watches with a satisfied smirk. Hinata asks for his teacher's assessment. Minato confirms his precision is now combat-ready. He notes how much they've all matured since that first mission. The entire team has grown stronger since their first test. Rin roars, her feral instincts taking over. She heaves a massive boulder in a feat of raw strength. Fugo catches his breath, pushed to his own limits. He channels his energy into a powerful healing spell. Elsewhere, Masamune is surrounded by training bots. Her eyes narrow with cold, lethal focus. A storm of blue slashes tears the robots apart. The announcer praises their incredible growth. A supervisor notes their promising results on his phone. But the mention of midterms sends them into a panic. Their past rankings flash, revealing they're all problem students. Fugo calls out to Hinata, trying to rally him. But our boy has already fainted from the pressure. The Hunter Department is a unique branch of the Academy. A yearly evaluation sorts all students from F to S rank. Midterm and final exams determine their exact ranking. Top performers climb the ladder while others fall behind. It's a brutal system based on a strict hierarchy. The announcer sheepishly admits he's unfamiliar with the system. He was a genius who ranked first his entire school life. The announcer calls the midterms their official debut match. He's confident they'll blow the competition away. Hinata looks up, calling the announcer Izuyoi. Later, the students gather in the school cafeteria. Masamune is shocked by the suggestion of a study group. Fugo insists they're in deep trouble without a plan. He suggests they teach each other their best subjects. Rin realizes he's just talking about test prep. Masamune is surprised by Fugo's sudden motivation. He admits Izuyoi's faith has inspired him to try. Rin doubts that a study group will actually help them. Hinata argues it's better than stressing out all alone. Masamune agrees, seeing it as a great opportunity. Rin considers their words, still looking unconvinced. She finally gives in, deciding they have nothing to lose. The team arrives at Fugo's apartment for their study session. A shocking revelation leaves the entire group speechless. Rin can't believe a delinquent type could be so smart. His nearly perfect scores raise a very obvious question. Fugo admits he'd be top-ranked if tests were only written. Fugo explains the exams consist of 3 tests. The first is a written test on creatures and gods. The second is a practical exam of their abilities. The third is a comprehensive mock battle exercise. But its contents are a mystery until test day. Fugo admits he fails the practicals because Minerva is always asleep. Masamune asks about the mythology on the written test. Fugo tells her to learn the stories, not just the facts. The team hits the gym to prepare for the practicals. Masamune becomes a drill sergeant, pushing them to their limits. Masamune's intense training pushes them past their limits. Izuyoi watches their frantic training with a proud smile. Hinata hones his new archery skills in the pouring rain. His eyes burn with an unshakable, newfound resolve. The day of the midterm exam finally arrives. The hall is packed with students from every rank. The team stands together, a secret plan ready to go. Rin pumps herself up, eager to prove her strength. But a new student's arrival parts the entire crowd. It's Yuzuki Kamio, the man Hinata vowed to surpass. Fugo scoffs at the youngest S rank in history. Yuzuki glances over with a cold, calculating stare. Hinata freezes, stunned by his rival's presence. The S-rank prodigy walks right up to him. Hinata quietly addresses him as his older brother. The entire team is floored by the shocking revelation. Yuzuki heard he transferred into Minato's special class. He dismisses them all as a collection of bottom feeders. Rin and Fugo explode with rage at the insult. Yuzuki smirks, mocking his brother's choice of friends. Hinata explodes, telling him to leave his friends alone. He grabs his brother by the tie, ready to fight. But Yuzuki just scoffs at his protective act. He tells them to enjoy playing at being friends. He calls them bottom feeders, just like his brother. His twisted voice echoes, "Hinata will never surpass him." The cruel words leave Hinata and his team speechless. Fugo realizes the two rivals are actually twins. He asks why Hinata never told them the truth. A flood of painful memories explains his silence. Fugo asks why he never told them. The girls watch, understanding his pain. Fugo apologizes, but Hinata says it's fine. But Rin declares this is the perfect motivation. They'll show his arrogant brother what they can do. Hinata is stunned by her fierce loyalty. A new voice cuts through the tension. The other students turn, startled by the interruption. The director is told his microphone is already on. Director Ranzo Tadu officially begins the midterms. Director Tadu explains the usual 3-day exam format. The old system existed for a simple, grim reason. Weaker students were failed early to prevent pointless deaths. But this year, the schedule is completely reversed. The students are stunned, they expected a written test. He laughs, declaring their true worth is tested now. As he reveals the test, a hooded figure watches. Suddenly, a massive structure crashes from the ceiling. It slams into the hall, sending students scrambling. The structure splits, revealing a path to the exam. The team stares in disbelief at the sudden test. A massive purple vortex opens before them. The director explains the first test is a survival battle. This year's exam is a class versus class group battle. Their mission: enter a virtual space and kill everything. He challenges them to prove their hard work paid off. Hinata's eyes burn with a new, fierce determination. An order rings out, class reps must step forward. The rank F top student Jinishi Son steps up. He leads his team, charging into the purple vortex. A pink-haired student watches the F rankers enter. Rank A's top student Hakuyagami rallies his team. Rank B's leader Yorazu Kongoji steps up with his crew. The timid Rank C rep Natsuki Sayatome nervously follows. Rank D's Mikoto Ashia smirks, crackling with power. And Rank E's Yutahiko Izan grins, ready for a fight. Finally, it's Hinata's team's turn to enter the fray. He shares a final, determined look with Fugo. Fugo turns, his eyes fixed on the swirling vortex. The director stops Yuzuki, reminding him of his place. The director looks up, a little surprised. Yuzuki watches as the other teams begin their tests. Rank F faces a massive, fire-breathing dragon. Rank E battles demons in a fiery hellscape. Rank D is trapped underwater with sea monsters. Rank C cowers under a shield from a giant beast. Rank B fights a brutal war against aliens in space. Rank A's champion clashes with a powerful Oni. The director worries the test is far too difficult. But an examiner insists the difficulty is perfectly scaled. The examiner approaches the director with a question. He heard rumors of his demotion for a past failure. The director demands to know who told him. But the examiner just smiles, keeping it a secret. He proposes a deal to clear his name. Suddenly, a new challenger calls him out. He taunts her, asking if she's getting old. She explodes with rage at his arrogance. She offers her rank if he can win. He accepts the deal and enters the portal. The examiner smirks, his eyes glowing with power. The portal door slams shut behind him. The director groans at the S-rank's reckless pride. The world dissolves into a digital haze. He's transported to the beautiful divine realm. A voice echoes from a massive coliseum. Gods and goddesses watch from the stands. They await the arrival of a legendary hero. This gathering will decide the new God King. A powerful hand grips a weapon, ready for battle. A warrior unleashes a massive burst of energy. The demigod hero Heracles makes his grand entrance. His eyes glow with an unbreakable fighting spirit. An announcer calls for a vote to decide the new king. He asks all who support Heracles to raise their hands. But the entire Colosseum remains completely silent. The other gods watch, completely unimpressed. The selection is decided by a simple majority vote. But for 300 years, no one has ever been chosen. Heracles is unanimously rejected, the stalemate unbroken. The current god king Zeus is already bored. He demands a more exciting form of entertainment. His assistant's suggestion of a tournament is rejected. He explains that a simple test of strength would just end with him killing everyone. His assistant is completely fed up with his attitude. This entire selection is just a game to kill time. She warns of a calamity, but Zeus has already forgotten. The assistant is stunned by his utter carelessness. Suddenly, the ground in the human world erupts. A massive gate of dark energy shatters reality. It manifests in the heart of the human world. Fiery meteors rain down on a terrified city. And from the gate, monsters begin to pour out. Vicious creatures with glowing red eyes emerge. They swarm the streets, attacking helpless civilians. The world is ravaged by the sudden invasion. This world-ending event was given a name. Back in the divine realm, the assistant is worried. But Zeus casually dismisses the entire crisis. His assistant suddenly gets a brilliant idea. She has a way to solve the entire crisis. She proposes a new, twisted kind of game. The next king will be whoever closes the gate with a human. The assistant is stunned by the new rule. Zeus sees it as a fun game with human partners. Candidates can cooperate or simply kill each other. He declares a battle royale of gods and humans. The scene cuts to a boy being bullied on the street. Suddenly, a massive explosion erupts behind them. The students stare as a battle rages above them. Giant insect creatures swarm the city streets. But a hero of fire cut through the chaos. A young warrior descended in a blaze of glory. It's Yuzuki Cameo, contractor of the sun god Ra. He was a celebrity, a hero adored by the masses. The bullies complain about living in Yuzuki's shadow. One turns to Hinata, calling him the other one. He's Yuzuki's older brother, but ranked F with no contractor. Meanwhile, the S-rank prodigy watches from above. Yuzuki's eyes burn with cold fury. Bullies mock Hinata, the hero's useless twin brother. They tell him he should just quit being a hunter. But a new voice cuts through the alley. Yuzuki arrives asking to join their fun. The terrified bullies immediately try to escape. Hinata thanks his brother for saving him. Yuzuki tells him he needs to fight back. He grabs a bully ready to teach a lesson. The boy chokes, overwhelmed by Yuzuki's power. Yuzuki claims he's the only one allowed to bully him. He stomps on his brother, calling him pathetic. He berates Hinata for being too weak to fight back. Suddenly, Yuzuki senses a presence on the roof. A shadowy contractor with glowing eyes watches them. He kicks his brother again, telling him to savor it. This is the pain of being looked down upon. Hinata screams that Yuzuki's power should be his. His brother warns him to never speak of it again. Because when they were children, their roles were reversed. In a memory, a young Hinata teases his brother. He once believed his family was the happiest in the world. His mother praises him for yet another perfect score. But Yuzuki was always left standing in the shadows. His own test paper was a crumpled mark of failure. Their father's comfort only added to the pressure. A deep resentment was already festering inside him. The constant praise for Hinata only fueled his anger. But even as a child, Hinata sensed something was wrong. And just outside their window, a monster was watching. The monster shatters their window in a violent attack. It smashes through the wall of their home. Their father shields Yuzuki from the sudden assault. The beast unleashes a devastating fiery blast. He watches in horror as his mother is trapped by flames. But fear gives way to a sudden, fierce resolve. An unknown god watches him run toward the inferno. The god is stunned by the boy's reckless courage. His mother begs him to run, but he refuses to leave. The ceiling cracks, threatening to crush him. His mother screams, trapped by the burning rubble. She shoves him back with her last ounce of strength. The flaming debris crashes down, burying her completely. Hinata screams, helpless as he watches her die. He sits alone as his entire world burns to ash. The scene shifts to Yuzuki beside his father's body. A voice from above praises his supposed bravery. Yuzuki looks up, stunned by the divine presence. The god says it seeks a partner who defies hellfire. The sun god Ra descends, claiming Yuzuki as his own. The sun god offers the grieving boy a contract. Yuzuki accepts, sealing the pact in a flash of light. Hinata runs through the flames, screaming for his brother. He finds Yuzuki sitting with the divine being. Ra wonders if he chose the wrong human. But Yuzuki's face twists with sudden rage. He screams, blasting his brother with divine fire. The attack slams Hinata hard against a wall. He collapses, stunned by his brother's betrayal. Yuzuki reveals a lifetime of bitter resentment. He screams that Hinata was only born first by luck. But this time he is the one chosen by a god. Yuzuki laughs, relishing his brother's suffering. He unleashes a devastating blast of divine fire. Hinata's body is left scorched on the ground. His brother gloats, finally getting to look down on him. The memory ends, returning to the alleyway confrontation. The sun god Ra casually apologizes for the mistake. He complains that it's hard to tell twins apart. Yuzuki clutches his chest, questioned about his actions. Yuzuki screams, asking if Ra condones his actions. But the sun god seems completely unbothered. Hinata can only watch in utter disbelief. Ra explains that gods kill their siblings all the time. He mocks human concepts like family and love. He praises Yuzuki's cold-blooded nature as a warrior. The god declares Yuzuki the perfect partner for this era. Yuzuki smirks, savoring his brother's despair. He raises his foot, calling him a talentless nobody. A new mission alert arrives and they simply walk away. Ra's voice mocks him as Yuzuki flies away. His brother disappears into the night. The world fades back into focus. Hinata wakes up bruised and alone. He stumbles to his feet, completely disoriented. His mind flashes back to another painful memory. A young boy collapses, overcome with pain. After their parents' death, everything changed. Yuzuki was abused while Hinata was praised. His brother's resentment festered into tyranny. He alone knows the truth behind his brother's fame. Every cheer for Yuzuki fuels a dark, resentful thought. He wonders what would have happened on that day if the ones who died weren't their parents. He wishes his brother had been the one to die. Suddenly, a massive explosion shatters the street. He's thrown back, staring into the crater. His brother lies broken and defeated in the dust. Yuzuki looks up, laughing through the pain. Hinata is completely bewildered by the sudden attack. A pillar of blue energy erupts from the street. A water spirit forms from the blast. It's an S-rank spirit, Undine, immune to fire. He realizes he has to save his brother. But Yuzuki tells him to run for his life. A dark thought crosses Hinata's mind. He realizes he abandoned his brother. He wonders if his life would improve now. The thought alone leaves him horrified. A familiar voice cuts through his despair. Hinata reels, clutching his head in confusion. The voice offers him a chance for revenge. He demands to know who is speaking to him. It tells him to watch his brother's demise. It reminds him of his long-held resentment. All he has to do is walk away. Hinata is torn by the dark temptation. The voice demands he make a choice. He considers letting his wish come true. But a memory of his mother's sacrifice flashes. He recalls his mother's final play to protect Yuzuki. His despair twists into a furious resolve. Hinata makes his choice, his eyes burning. He charges forward, ignoring the voice's taunts. He screams that he's still the older brother. The shadowy voice calls his soft heart foolish. But a wicked smile forms in the darkness. The entity grabs him, offering a contract. Hinata demands to know who it is. But the water spirit prepares its next attack. A cross-shaped blast of water energy fires. The attack slams down, throwing Hinata aside. He lands hard right next to his brother. The street is shattered by the incredible power. The entity tells him to prove his resolve. He must scream its name from his very soul. Hinata's resolve hardens in an instant. He screams, warning the entity not to fail him. He takes a deep breath, preparing to scream. He screams the name, unleashing a torrent of shadows. A pillar of dark energy erupts from the street. The water spirit stares, stunned by the sudden power. It unleashes a desperate barrage of water spears. But the shadows form a swirling, impenetrable shield. The attack is completely swallowed by the darkness. And from the vortex, a new warrior emerges. His eyes burn with cold, lethal intent. The water spirit screams, its body torn apart. The S-rank monster is completely overwhelmed. He closes the distance in a single, blinding flash. He effortlessly deflects the spirit's water barrage. His eyes glow with a furious, borrowed power. A single slash tears through the water spirit. The S-rank monster dissolves under the moonlight. He's wreathed in the dark power of his contractor. He finally has the strength he always craved. The strength to protect those he cares about. The spirit shatters, its body completely bisected. He can't believe he defeated an S-rank monster. An F-rank nobody just achieved the impossible. His brother lies broken on the cold asphalt. Hinata rushes to his side, checking for a pulse. He listens closely, desperate for any sign of life. A faint breath confirms Yuzuki is still alive. But the water spirit begins to reform behind him. He realizes the S-rank monster isn't dead yet. The borrowed power flickers, starting to fade away. He struggles to remember how to even use the sword. A sudden blast sends him stumbling back in terror. The spirit unleashes a storm of lethal projectiles. He desperately dodges the storm of water spears. The attacks are too fast, he can't predict their path. He screams at his contractor, demanding to know how to fight. He reminds the entity of their contract, begging for help. But the water spears tear right through his defenses. Pain explodes through his body as he's overwhelmed. He knows at this rate they're both going to die. The water spirit forms a blade for the final blow. A final, devastating strike sends him flying back. He collapses beside his brother, calling his name. Hinata lies broken, spitting blood on the ground. He forces himself up, using his sword as a crutch. His face twists with pain and raw desperation. He screams, vowing that he will protect his brother. He feels a strange, new power surge through him. Dark red tendrils of energy erupt from his body. His eyes glow, overwhelmed by the sudden influx. The shadows swirl around him in a violent storm. The water spirit prepares a final, decisive attack. It unleashes a massive torrent of pure energy. A demonic grin spreads across Hinata's face. He faces the spirit's final attack head-on. He raises his sword, channeling the dark power. A single crimson slash cleaves the blast in two. The attack tears through the spirit's very core. Its core shatters into a million pieces. The last fragments of its power fade away. He stands over his brother, victorious but changed. He presses his foot down on Yuzuki's chest. His face splits, a monster staring back at him. He raises his sword, ready to finish his brother. But a flash of blue lightning intervenes. A new challenger blocks the killing blow. He lands as the impact shatters the street. It's Izuyoi, the S-rank number 1, here for Yuzuki. He sizes up the dark, possessed warrior before him. But he knows a peaceful resolution is unlikely. Hinata roars, consumed by the entity's rage. He swings his blade in a furious, dark arc. Izuyoi taunts him, asking if he knows who he's facing. Izuyoi flips away, mocking his opponent's ignorance. The possessed Hinata slashes with pure dark energy. He lunges forward, a blur of red and black rage. Izuyoi smirks, calling his counterattack self-defense. He unleashes a massive blast of blue lightning. The raw power slams into Hinata, overwhelming him. A taunting laugh is the last thing he hears. He wakes up later, battered and in a hospital bed. He's shocked to see the number 1 S-rank, Izuyoi. Hinata asks about Yuzuki, who is being taken away. Izuyoi says they found no record of his contract. He demands to know who Hinata contracted with. Hinata admits he doesn't know the entity's name. He confesses he has no talent and always fails. Izuyoi asks why he never gave up trying. Hinata clenches his fist with raw determination. He has to catch up to his little brother. Izuyoi is stunned by the impossible goal. He can't believe what he's hearing. A sharp grin spreads across his face. He hands the battered Hinata a mysterious note. He tells him to meet him tomorrow, no questions asked. The note reveals a location, a special classroom. The next day, Hinata arrives at the school. He walks the empty halls, feeling a surge of anxiety. Taking a deep breath, he opens the classroom door. The room explodes, sending him flying backward. A